So Wilms,
Yep.
we are entering what looks like quite a remote part of the world.
That's good.
It is, but I think the closest gas we got is a place called Hanksville.
Ooh.
And that's about an hour or so down the road, and hopefully we can go through Goblin State Park before we get there and not run out of fuel. And as far as supplies goes, they've got a pizzeria with a deli and a few gas stations. So dinner might not be...
No steaks, you mean? Yeah.
No.
I'm sure if they've got that much, they've got something that we can make dinner out of. We'll be okay.
Yeah.
The horsemen are heading out for their morning ride, and we make our way out of Red's Canyon, heading east with a destination in mind.
We're making a little side trip down to the Goblin Valley State Park to view some interesting rock formations.
As promised, a vast arena lies before us, inhabited by a haphazard gathering of petrified creatures from the darker pages of mythology. Scientifically speaking, these goblins are called hoodoos. 170 million years ago, sediments were laid down as a vast inland sea eroded the surrounding landscape. Over time, these sediments turned to stone, later to be cracked and fissured by earth movements. In the years that followed, erosion stripped away the upper layers to reach the Entrada sandstone below. Within this layer were harder, erosion-resistant sections where the goblins would one day emerge. As they did, the elements rounded off the corners, sculpting the formations we see today. Looming over the field is a grey stone remnant of younger Curtis sandstone that somehow has survived the ravages of time.
South of Goblin Valley is the very small town of Hanksville, where we take the opportunity to stock up on supplies, gas, and water. Down the road, and after quite a bit of effort and tenacity, we managed to find a campsite amongst some very rocky turf.
We're south of a little place called Hanksville, and if there's a middle of nowhere in America, I think we're pretty close to it. We've reached a point in our excursion where we really have to come up with a plan of what to do next.
Part of the problem is that today is going to be very windy and unpleasant, and tomorrow the temperatures are going to be below freezing. So what we really want to do is find a hotel where we can kind of sit for a few days, avoid the harsh weather, and then make a plan. The problem is that everything around here is super busy. Fortunately, we did find accommodation somewhere.
So we're redirecting to a place called Blanding, south of Moab, and there is a lot of interesting stuff around that area where we can amuse ourselves and try and come up with a direction of where we want to go. Departing the locality of Hanksville with a plan to make a plan, Wilms phones the hotel in Blanding. But it appears our plan to make a plan needs replanning.
Seems that Blanding's hotels are all booked out, so we've redirected ourselves back to Moab, and from where we were, it would have been quicker to go back through the Green River and down that way. But this is all new country. We're passing through the Canyonlands area where the Colorado River flows into the mighty Lake Powell.
After many hours on the road, we finally arrive at our unintended destination.
You can see that the check engine light came on. That happened back in Hanksville. And I ran the tester into the machine, and it said that the lambda sensor bank 2 fuel running too rich. So one of the first culprits in these emission issues would be the mass airflow sensor, which is on the intake. But the fact that it's bank 2, which are the 4 cylinders on the right hand side of the engine, means that it's not affecting everything, so it's more likely a more isolated downstream issue. So I went over to O'Reilly's Auto Parts, and he had a more impressive machine, and he came up with the fact that it's one of the 2 oxygen sensors on the catalytic converters. And so he's ordered them first thing tomorrow morning, and we're going to pop that in and just see if it fixes the issue. Unfortunately, it's like 20 or 30 miles down the road before the light kicks back in, but he can run through the real-time monitoring system. See how that goes.
The forwardmost oxygen sensor is the one we're swapping out, and access is much easier after popping the hood and coming through the top.
Screwdriver.
You can do it Mr. Foreman's way if you like. Of course, it's just a lot harder. Cricket supervises proceedings with concern, the little dog lacking faith in the shonky workmanship going on under the truck.
We're leaving Moab for what I hope is the last time on this trip at least. We've got the new oxygen sensor in, and the plan is to drive. If the check engine light does not come back on, then we're not going back to Moab. If the check engine light does come on, then we might go back to Moab to try and process what the exact problem is. The car is feeling pretty good at the moment, and I have a small measure of hope.
We're driving into a magnificent panorama known as the Valley of the Gods. It's amazing how the disco blends in with its environment, inconspicuously moving through the landscape like a true stealth machine.
BLM lands similar to these are prized recreation spots for off-roaders, hunters, fishermen, and campers, and some contain precious Native American archaeological sites. These formerly protected lands and national monuments are now being offered up by the federal government to oil and mining companies, as well as other private interests. Area that was once a secret camping spot or a beloved weekend playground for outdoorsmen could soon be off limits to the public and destroyed for the sake of corporate profit. Somehow, we managed to find ourselves a magnificent campsite set amongst the towering cliffs and buttes in a valley of the divine.
We're about to indulge in a delectable dish of swine flesh, chicken fetuses and toast. Anyone who's cooked toast on gas knows that it's a painful experience, so the grill, a handy asset for this particular job. Look at sniffing around the bacon. See, we're already running a little behind schedule. I'm going to set that aside on the grill to warm. And although I would just stick the eggs in that big puddle of bacon grease, Wilms is a bit more health conscious. Terrible. I'll be having bacon and egg burgers. And Wilms is having one piece of... Oh, where's that gone? There it is. Wilms will be having a tiny little piece of toast as a token effort. That one's a bit mangled. Call that a scramble. Swine flesh, chicken fetuses, toast.
This is crazy. This is where we're having breakfast. Even the most exclusive restaurant in the world couldn't give you this.
Oh, great. All right. Thank you. Yep, you too. Ticket.
Should probably put that up there.
Yeah.
First stop is the obligatory visit to the gift shop. From the visitor center, we are treated to a glimpse of what lies before us.
Left the Valley of the Gods, we're now in Monument Valley, which is a noticeably a busier place. There is a campground here, but we'll probably just have a look around and then make our way to some more secluded areas, I would think. But it is very pretty.
Possibly the most impressive and popular lookout is named after director John Ford, who shot a number of blockbuster Western movies in Monument Valley. Hollywood certainly put the place on the map, and the secret is out.
I bet those facilities have an interesting aroma in the warmer months.
So this one's apparently the Rain God Mesa. There's an aquifer somewhere in there. And then over here, we've got the Thunderbird Mesa and the Spearhead Mesa.
Oh.
Somewhere.
Very busy place.
The last major attraction before we depart is quite a distinct feature in the park. The totem pole and Yeti Bichia, tall spires rising from the desert sands. In the next part of the adventure, we make our way to Page, Arizona, where we organize an expedition that involves a canoe on the wondrous and unique reservoir called Lake Powell. Be ready to climb aboard our big red boat for a look at this almost alien-like world in the American West.